What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Showtime Meets Business, the podcast that's bringing the business to show business. I'm Luke.
And I'm Grace.
And this is Showtime
Meets Business.
This week, we are interviewing journeyman actor Larry Cedar, who you may know from the hit show Deadwood, Law and Order True Crime, the Menendez brothers. He has also made appearances on American Horror Story, The Last Tycoon, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, and literally dozens of other projects dating all the way back to Battlestar Gallactica, MASH, and Twilight Zone, the movie. Today, Larry is sitting with us to discuss his experiences and how he has navigated his way through the industry throughout the decades, and to give us some advice on how to stay in the game. Welcome, Larry.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
It's great
Thank
to
you.
have you.
Yes.
So my first question is, I wanted to ask, how did you get your start, and did you train anywhere?
Okay, so I'm going to call it the ancient story because I feel like I've told it so many times. I was forbidden to be an actor by my father.
Oh, wow.
So I went to college and I was pre-med, and then I was pre-law. Then I got into law school. And at the last minute, I snuck in an audition for a one-act play because I always liked acting. And I got into it. And I'd been accepted to Hastings. And one of the professors at UCLA where I was going saw me in the play and said, you got some skills. You ever thought about, being an actor? I said, oh, all the time, but I'm going to law school. And he said, well, we kind of like to have you in our graduate program. I said, I haven't even an undergraduate. He said, well, come audition for us. Don't worry, you're going to get in. So I said,
wow.
Are you kidding me? Gary Gardner, God bless him. He changed my life.
Wow.
The professor. So I went and I auditioned, and I got in, and all I had to do then was go tell my dad, which was, I still remember to this day, the exact conversation. And I went to graduate school. I dumped the law school and went to graduate school in acting for 2 years at UCLA. That's where I studied initially.
Okay.
I entered a competition there called the Hugh O'Brien Awards. Hugh O'Brien was a big star in the 60s.
Okay.
And he would sponsor this competition, and they would invite agents and managers, and
It's like a showcase?
Like a showcase. At UCLA, they had it every year. Me and my partner, Bob Unetti, who's since passed away, won. And I was offered a contract at Universal Studios, a one-year contract, an actor's contract, which is one of the last times they did that. They don't really offer contracts like that anymore. It was a studio contract. And that's how I got started.
What were those studio contracts like back then?
Well, mine was it was starting to dwindle. It used to be when you were under contract to a studio, they would put you in projects and they kind of groomed you to be a star. This was one of the last contracts where they kind of weren't doing that anymore. They had first rights to you on projects, and they would send you around a lot to audition for what was going on. I actually did a pilot there, got a pilot there under that contract called Friends. I know that sounds crazy, but it was actually about two friends, two guys. And this was way before The Friends.
Yeah.
And I shot that pilot. That was my first professional job under contract. And then it didn't go anywhere. But then that's how we did it. You would be sent around. There was a kind of an on-lot talent agent who would send you to projects. It was kind of cool.
Oh.
It only lasted a year. And then I got a regular agent, and that was it.
Oh, how did you get your first agent?
First agent, same thing. The first agent was Fred Amzell. He booked me the contract. There was a guy named Milt Hammerman, who was the head of Universal, came the same night as Fred. And Fred said, I'm going to rep this guy, and I'm going to sign him up with a contract with you. They kind of made a co-deal. So I stayed with Fred Amzell for many years after the contract, and I did my first slew of jobs, and that was it.
What agency was he with?
Fred Amzell. And
That was his name. Okay.
And now there's an Amsell Eisenstadt, which is an extension of Fred's original agency, but Fred's been gone a long time.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And did you have a survival job back then, or did the contract take care of it?
I somehow miraculously, you know what happened? I remember now. I didn't even know what commercials were. I had no idea. I knew nothing about anything. And someone said, there's this, Mary Grady was an agency to represent kids and adults. We should all go over there, a bunch of us from UCLA. And she signed all of us.
Wow.
Just because I want a bunch of young kids. And I started booking commercials. And that was the way I was able to make my money for many years while I was waiting for the acting jobs.
That's fantastic.
Wow.
Yeah, I kid you not, I would book a commercial a month. It was crazy because I was a kind of a fresh young kid, and all American, and that's the way I looked anyway. And they were doing that back then. Now commercials now, it's like, you got everything. You got guys with beards, long hair, characters. But back then they wanted fresh, clean, representing Kellogg's. And so I got really lucky.
So aside from doing a lot of commercials, what other ways were you approaching your career?
Man, I got to tell you, I got to be honest. I had no way. I stumbled. I always say if I was going to start a corporation, it would be called cart before the horse productions. I've learned some skills now, but basically I just kept stumbling into one thing or another. And I based my success just on sheer love of what I did and kind of ego and I just wanted to act. I had no approach or anything initially. But fortunately, like I said, I was in a place where I was getting work, so I just kept doing that. I was always disciplined. I always showed up on time, let's say, which is the kind of the basic kernel of being a professional.
Yes.
I knew how to show up on time, know my lines, listen to the director. Those basic 3 things will get you far. And I learned that from school. And yeah.
And what did on time mean? 15 minutes early?
Damn right. Half an hour early.
Half an hour early.
Oh, wow.
You know, it's astounding how fundamentally important that one thing in this business is. If someone shows up late, anybody in any one of the hundreds of areas of this, everyone looks at them a certain way. That says a lot about you. Showing up on time and being ready to be a professional. To me, number one in this business, be a professional. Treat your coworkers with respect. Show up on time. Know what your job is and do it to the best of your ability. Listen to other people. Man, that's just fundamental. And it's hard in this business because basically we're a bunch of nuts. We're all kind of rebels at heart.
Right.
So it goes against the grain, but you have to find that part of you that even though you're a crazy, nuts, rebel, rebellious, don't want to follow the rules type person, when it comes to the job, you must do the job. Yeah. Now, if you're the only people who can get away with being late and being a jerk and all that stuff is incredibly talented people. But even people get tired of. And I won't name names, but there are people that cause a lot of problems, and at some point it catches up with them.
Sure.
Because this town is small, and you misbehave in one set, I guarantee the next set you go to, they'll have heard about you.
Right.
So that's fundamental.
Well, I love that. When I went to college, the first thing they taught us was 10 minutes early is on time.
Oh, yeah.
On time is late.
Well,
and so I'm going to have to tell them to update it to 30 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
30 minutes, guys. 30 minutes.
Yeah.
30 minutes is good.
I took what's called a musical theater workshop. I don't know if it still exists now at the Music Center. They used to take young kids and kind of, again, groom them to be in musicals at the Civic Center. And Paul Gleason, who taught the class, day number 1 said, there's never an excuse to be late. Tell me what you think is a good excuse. And people go, oh, such and such. No, there's no excuse. That's not good enough. Tell me another one. He said, there's never an excuse. Now, of course, there are, but in your mind, there should never be an excuse.
The excuse that we said that we were told was acceptable was I died.
That's it.
So
that's it, man.
You're good to go on that one.
And that's why I have so much respect for people in this business, especially if you're on a movie set or something. You got this huge crew. They don't have a trailer to go to. They're working their asses off like every day. My daughter works in props and art direction back in New York. She's working on Spielberg's West Side Story right now.
Wow.
They bust their asses, but they show up on time. And if you're smart, you also don't complain.
Right.
That's the kind of thing. That's a corollary. But yeah.
Well, we'll probably touch base on that, I'm sure, at some point again. But in 1978, you booked a role on an episode of Battlestar Galactica that kicked your career off.
That was my first contract job. Actually, not the pilot. Battlestar Galactica was.
Amazing. So how much did that help you going forward, and what were your emotions about that back then?
Again, I knew nothing about the business.
Okay.
Nothing about being on a television set. Nothing about cameras. Nothing about working with other actors in that environment. I knew kind of how to act, but it was one of those jobs where they put me in the cockpit of a Starfleet kind of ship, and I had a helmet on, and all I was supposed to do was go look left, look right, look scared, look up, look down, look back behind you. I see 2 in front of me, Captain. It was like one of the most basic kind of jobs. There was no emotional context. There was no character. So it was just a job, but I was smart enough to know that I'm working. I'm on the Universal lot, and to this day, getting on the lot feels like Disneyland to me. So getting on that lot, I get a chill. If you can get on that damn lot, either for an audition or a job, you arrived.
I love it.
I felt that. I felt very excited. And Lauren Green was a big star back then from Bonanza.
Yeah.
So I saw him walking around, and I got a chill,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then in 1980, you booked a role on an episode of another iconic show, MASH.
Yeah.
MASH.
Yeah.
Did you know at the time that it was a big opportunity? Did you feel that way?
No. I just wanted to somehow survive it. I was alternately, and I think I haven't changed about this business. Every job is alternately thrilling and terrifying. There's a combination of thrills and terror with every job. So I had a scene with Hot Lips. the actress Nettle. Oh God, I feel terrible. The actress who played Hot Lips in the series, the blonde, beautiful blonde woman.
Okay, yeah.
No, I felt terrible.
I don't know the name.
It was
off
Sally
the top of my
Kellerman in the
head.
feature.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a scene with her, and I was supposed to be sick and dying, and we just played the scene, and she was wonderfully sweet. But I did notice something at the time. The union had been on strike for a while, and they had just come back from the strike, and there was a lot of bitter feelings amongst the crew because the actors going on strike had basically shut down their way of making a living for several months. So I remember hearing her having an argument with one of the crew members and thinking, what's that about? Because I didn't really know much about it at the time. But they were like a family, so they were having a little familial kind of dispute. But I saw they worked it out. You know? So it was exciting. Yeah, very exciting.
Nice. And then in 1983, you played the creature on the wing in the Twilight Zone.
Amen.
I still remember that. Yeah.
Oh, cool, man.
I mean, I remember watching that as a kid, watching John Lithgow sweat bullets, look out at that wing. And I remember thinking about that the first time I got on an airplane, like, man, I hope that doesn't happen. I was like 10.
Yeah, it was great. I'll tell you a funny thing about that. Funny you mentioned that. I'm digging through my old files. I'm trying to thin out my files, as they accumulate over the years. And I found when I got that job, they had storyboarded the entire segment. Do you guys know what storyboards are?
Yeah, of course.
Because I don't see them around that much, so I wonder if people still know what they are.
They still do them. Yeah.
It's like a graphic novel version of a scene, or they had storyboarded that entire segment. From when John Lithgow's in his chair. Some guy had sketched out the panels for every single moment of that thing. And they gave me a copy of it as a reference so I would know what I was, getting myself into as the creature, and along with the script. And I just found this thing, and it's like, whoa, it's so close to the storyboards, the episode. Wow. Yeah, so I'm talking to a memorabilia guy about that to see if there's some interest in it, because it's pretty cool. That was a very fun job. I never forget it. I pretty much remember every day of the shoot.
What was that audition process like?
I'll tell you exactly. I walked into a very large rehearsal room at, where was it? Was it Universal? See, I don't remember everything. I think it was Universal. And they had a bunch of long tables set up, like you'd set up for a cafeteria, folding tables. And George Miller said, hello, how are you? I said, great. He says, what we'd like to see you do is just run across these tables like a madman, like terrorize us. just run around and just be like a crazy creature. And I said, okay. So I tore around. I was used to be a dancer, so I wasn't afraid of that. I tore around and just, and they got a little nervous because, as you recall, Vic Morrow had died a couple weeks previously on the segment they were shooting before mine. There was a terrible accident. Oh, my goodness. So everyone was in a state of shock, and they were also very nervous about anybody else getting hurt on this thing. So they were kind of nervous about it, but that's what I did. Wow. I don't know why I got it over everybody else, but I was thrilled. It was insane. I got it fitted for the costume with a guy named Craig Reardon who created it. And that was all new to me. I was like a kid in a candy store early in my career. Everything was like, really? You're going to pay me to do this?
Yeah, what a fun audition.
And we're going to put you on a wire and have you fly and act with John Lithgow. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Wow.
It was great.
Very cool.
Yeah.
By that point, you really had some substantial credits up your sleeve and were working regularly in both film and TV.
Yeah.
Was it full-time by then, or did you have more survival jobs on the side?
I only ever had one survival. I don't know how this is possible. I'm just trying to think about it now. How did I do that? I only had one survival job, and that's when I had kids. And I started realizing, I can't just wait for acting work. And I was a word processor for a while downtown in one of those high rises. Oh. But aside from that, no, I was work full-time. You used to you'd go on this is crazy, 2-3 commercial auditions a day. That's how crazy it was.
Wow.
I mean, that's what was available.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And that was before I got into voiceover. So I was really fortunate. I got to make a good living doing that.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
And the voiceover we're going to touch on as well. But I just wanted to touch back on you. At some point, you did switch agents. You mentioned that you were with an agent. So at what point did that change, and how did you go about that transition?
I left Fred Emzel because someone else invited me to join their agency.
Gotcha.
I don't know if that was a wise move or not at that time. In retrospect, it's hard to tell because I was told later by someone at Fred Emzel's that they were actually trying to build my career. And he said, you kind of had some momentum. You should have stayed with us. But I got impatient, as young people do. I went like a couple weeks or 3 weeks without anything. And I said, this guy's not doing the job. I'm going to go with him. So I went over to someone else. I can't remember exactly, and I wouldn't want to say who it was, but I was with someone else for a while. And that worked out pretty well. Then they dropped me at one point, and I kind of floated with a much smaller agency. Then they closed. So it was pretty dismal. And then Doug Ely, who runs the commercial agency I'm with, found out what was going on with me. He said, I'm thinking of opening a theatrical division. Would you be my first client? I said, well, man, I need something.
Yeah.
I got it and got Deadwood that same week.
Wow.
And so that helped him and it helped me.
Heck yeah.
So and that's where I've been ever since, is AKA.
Yeah.
That's
fantastic.
amazing.
Yeah, it was just, there's so much weird stuff that happens in this business.
AKA, that's a great agency.
I really love them.
So
I really
you
do.
started out, you were one of his first
I
clients?
was his first theatrical client.
That is awesome.
Now they got a lot of people who are
That is
bigger than
awesome.
me, but at the time it was good for both of us. And I love Doug. I've been with Doug for commercials for just forever.
Mm-hmm.
So I was happy to help him, and he was happy to help me. So I've never thought about leaving since, because that they're just my guys. That's Greg Klein and Chip Hooley are the theatrical people. Really great people. Really great. Yeah.
Nice. What advice do you have for our audience members out there who are looking for an agent or currently trying to transition from one agency to another?
It's a very tough question. I don't know about other actors. For me, it's the biggest nightmare in the world, not having representation. This business is hard enough without having someone fighting for you. At those times when I was between agents, I basically felt like my career was over. I would approach agencies. You get turned down a lot. It's almost automatic. All I can say to anybody who's looking for an agent is do your research. Don't overshoot. Don't try to go for CAA if you're not in that range. And someone once did a breakdown. You can find it on the internet. Something like CAA. You're on every billboard around town. If you're on every billboard around town, everyone knows who you are, and you've just done 3 pictures for $1 million each. Okay, go talk to CAA. Then they take it down. If you regularly guest star, go see Gersh. So if you're, and they break it down. They say, here's agencies you should approach that you got a shot with. Now, that's not to say you couldn't get a big agency. This business is full of surprises. Someone who has no credits can get signed by CAA tomorrow just because. So don't undersell yourself, but also don't waste your time necessarily. And then put together your materials, man. Have your picture, have your reel. It's really important. Be able to show them, these days a reel is a link to an online site. Have your website available. It shows what you can do. They're going to look at you and they're going to say, okay, he's a 30 to 40-year-old Caucasian guy, comedic character maybe. They're going to size you up and see, do I need someone like that?
Sure.
Either they will or they won't. If you are good at networking and going to parties and talking to people, talking yourself up, do that. It was never my strong suit. Relationships are everything. If you can build a connection and just a friendship connection with someone, that goes a long way towards someone saying, you know what? I got someone I want you to meet. Because they like you.
Yeah.
If they like you, they'll do things for you.
For sure.
And I'm not being cynical. I mean, make genuine friends with people.
Absolutely.
Don't be disingenuous in this business. Be real. Like,
Right.
I really think I love what you do. I'd like to work with you. Do you know anyone else? And you find, like, Jeremy, right? These films, Jeremy Lanny, who we've worked with, he pulls these people together because we love Jeremy.
Yes.
And we trust him. We believe in what he's doing. And then there's this kind of synergy.
Yes.
And it's an honest thing. It's not like, I'm gonna get in with this guy. I'm gonna blow. No, really find people you really believe in and who have the same goals as you do, and you will find that connection. And with an agent too, same kind of thing. Managers too. If they like you, they believe in you, they trust, they see your passion, they're gonna want to work with you. But you got to keep knocking at that damn door.
Yep.
Sometimes,
How often do you speak to your manager? Do you have a manager?
I had a manager. I've never had a manager. For various reasons, and earlier this year, I actually signed with a manager, and I had them for 2 months, and I let them go.
Oh.
I realized it wasn't me.
Tell us why.
I love my agents. I thought maybe, what the hell, a few more people working on my behalf, it couldn't hurt, right? But what I realized was it kind of split my focus. I like feeling like these are my guys, and now I got these new guys, and I talk to them, but I talk to them, and then they got to communicate with each other. It's a little complicated for my taste. And then I had a little trouble getting them on the phone. I thought, well, that's a problem you have with an agent because they've got lots of clients. A manager should be able to, they're there for you. I said, well, I don't need 2 of that.
Yeah.
So I've always been a kind of a streamlined type guy. Simple's better.
Yeah.
So I dropped in wonderful people, and they've done some great work for people. It just wasn't my style. I've never really understood the need for it if you have a really good agent.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's also more percentages out
More
of your
percentages?
pocket.
Yeah.
10%.
Yeah, which is worth it if they're booking you in work.
For
Yeah.
sure.
But I just like knowing I got these 2 guys that represent me. And I'm thinking about them and what they're doing for me. Very simple. Simple. That's not for every. Some people love lawyers, publicists, managers. That works for them, but I've always been kind of like a lean operation, you know.
Nice.
So let's switch gears a little bit.
Sure.
In 1998, you worked on Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Directed by Terry Gilliam.
Yes.
This is one of my all-time favorite movies. So
for sure.
I had to touch on this.
Yeah.
You got to shoot a scene with Johnny Depp.
Yes.
And I just want to know what that was like to shoot that scene working with both Terry and Johnny.
I will just tell you this. First off, really good actors, no matter how big a star they are the easiest ones to work with. That is two really good actors. Really good. So I showed up. They treated me like any other actor. And we started playing. We started improvising. We started doing stuff. John, he talked to me. You know, we talked to Benicio. I was like we were all on equal level, and we played. And it was such a thrill, because Terry Gilliam, and I say this in the best of ways, he's out of his mind, and it's in the best possible way.
Yeah.
There was such chaos on that set, and it was a beautiful chaos.
Yeah.
So anything could go, anything you could try, anything, do anything, and he'd say. And he just basically sit back, oh, yeah, oh, that's wonderful. Do something else. And, you know, and I mean, I still to this day remember having such feelings of affection for all of them because all they wanted to do was make great art. They just wanted to make a great scene.
Yes.
There was no, this is Johnny Depp, this is Benicio, this is Terry. That all went away in like 5 minutes. And we just wanted to make a great scene. And, yeah, it was wonderful. You know, we're artists at heart. We can get pulled away from that. Into the business, into the ego, but we all want to create at heart. We want to create.
Yes.
It's such a high. It's so satisfying. And when you get in those situations where you get to do that, it's everything. Yeah. Now that could have been a $1,000 short film, and it would have been just as satisfying. We got to do that thing. Yeah. And the fact that it worked was great.
Yeah. You can really sense that bit of chaos, on the set. By the time that movie gets to the point where that hotel room is filled like 3 feet with water.
Unbelievable.
Johnny Depp is walking around with an alligator tail on him.
Unbelievable.
Like, you feel like you're tripping as the audience. You're like, wait, what is going on here?
I went to see that film with my agent, who was the guy who was my agent back then. I'm not with him anymore. And we both watched the film like this, literally. Like we were being blown back. And the end of the film, we turned and looked at each other like this, like, what was that? I did not understand it. And then the second time, it blew my mind.
Yeah.
The first time, I really wasn't ready.
Wow.
Yeah.
Second time, I went, this is beautiful.
Yeah.
But how often does a filmmaker get to have free reign like Terry Gilliam?
Yeah.
Wow.
Right.
Right? It's who's given that kind of leash.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
aside from working in film and TV, you've had a robust career working in voiceover and have worked on several popular video games and cartoons. Pinky and the Brain, Superman the Animated Series, Sylvester and Tweety, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, Star Wars, Jedi Knight, the list goes on. How did you get into doing that?
I was at my then commercial agent, Don Schwartz and Associates office. And I walk in one day, he says, I want you to go up the hall and talk to a guy named Steve Tischerman. I said, okay, why? He says, he's going to read you for a voiceover. I said, what is that? He said, he'll explain it. I went back there, and Steve was this kind of gruff guy. Hey, all right, come in, read that copy. I go, what do you just read? He says, just read it. I'm going to record you. And I go, okay. And I go, what are we doing here? He goes, we're doing voiceover, radio commercial. I'm going to submit it. Maybe you'll get a job. That's all I knew. Steve ended up having his own agency. Great guy. He represented Don LaFontaine for his entire career, so very successful. So that's how I got into voiceovers. I didn't know what it was. You used to go in, and it was all reel-to-reel tapes, and you'd read, and they'd book you, and now it's all out of the house, a lot of it. But I just, like so much of my career, I just stumbled into it, but enjoy it tremendously. I do have some skills. I particularly do a speed talking thing. I have a website called disclaimerman.com because I do legal disclaimers for like Volkswagen and really fast.
Oh, really?
That's kind of a niche for me, but I've done the animation thing. And yeah, listen, anything. I never dreamt of having a career as a voiceover actor. But dang, man, you can make some money. So I'm always happy to have anything that would. I don't know if I'd be happy if I was just doing that. I know some people are. I have a need to get in front of a audience or a lens. I just have that need. I love doing voiceovers, but No, of course, if I was making the kind of money Don LaFontaine made, I'd probably change my perspective.
Yeah. Well, you'd be creating your own movies.
Yeah. But I was trained to use everything.
Yes.
So I like to feel like I'm across from another actor. I like to feel like I'm in front of a lens making a film.
Yeah.
I like to feel like I'm on a stage connecting with an audience. The microphone is wonderful. It's simple. You can use your imagination, crazy, but I always feel limited by it in some way. Maybe I'm stupid, but that's just, kind of where I'm at.
No, I'm with you. I feel the same way. As an actor, like to use your body, your entire tool that you've got with you. So.
I want to experience relationship.
Yes.
I want to feel like I'm sitting across from people and something's happening so that the camera can film that and hopefully it's exciting and interesting.
Yeah.
That's what I feel. That's my art.
How did you find your niche?
My niche.
In voiceover.
I don't really have one. I do pretty much whatever. I never tried to really find a niche. The speed thing just happened. I keep saying that, don't I? So well, look, it's kind of like life, and it's kind of like this business. Things do just happen, and I think I've kind of embraced the fact that you can only think about and plan so much as a creative person. To a degree, you've just got to let it just flow, and see. I never know what's going to happen next. This reading we did with Jeremy, the films I've done with Jeremy, they've just kind of happened, and I'd like to say I was in complete control of my career. No, not at all. Because when you try to control it, doesn't work. Yeah. So you're better off just I always say to my daughter, who's a painter, just keep painting. Same thing with actors. Just keep acting. Just keep doing what you do. Keep trying to improve. Keep putting it out there. The work will happen. The work will come. That's what I believe.
What advice could you give to some people who are out there maybe trying to get into voiceover or looking to get into that?
Man, that's a tough field to break into right now. The reason being, now that everyone can record out of their home, I'm competing against some guy in Omaha, Miami, Kansas City. It used to be you were in LA, Chicago. That was your competition.
Right.
Everybody's trying to get into voiceovers. It's very hard to distinguish yourself. I would say, just like everything else in this business, just do your best, make great demos, take them around to people who might be interested in representing you, see if you can find someone that connects with you, and go with that. But it is tough now, really tough. There's a lot, just because of the sheer amount of competition. And not to get into it, but the whole non-union thing, there's a ton of non-union voiceover out there. So if you're a union actor, they're going to cast non-union first a lot of times. So you're kind of last on the list.
Right.
And then, like, for loop groups, I hear a lot of the producers are casting their own family members.
Oh, yeah.
So
it's very difficult.
Yeah.
It's the odds are very long to make it as an actor on TV film, but I say there's a certain purity about it. You have to be really, really solid to get on camera or something like that. You can't cheat. So you eliminate a lot of the people who are just kind of on the fringes that are getting into voiceover now just because people want to go cheap. People don't want to spend money, so they'll take the voiceover guy that's maybe not so great. On camera, you can't cheat that. You can't use some so-so actor out of wherever. So I always say concentrate on your acting. Be a really good actor. The voiceover will follow. You will be a legitimate actor. And then the voiceover, people will see that. That's just a theory, but,
Sure.
I say do that first. That's that's not to take away from some amazing voiceover talents who have full careers. It's brilliant, but that's my perspective.
So when you do get voiceover work, do you have your own setup at home?
No, all I've got at home is a microphone and a homemade thing. I just record out of my home. I can't. I just audition. I can't do sessions out of my house.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So when you record your own auditions, what does your setup look like? Is it inside a closet? What kind of gear?
There's a book I bought that told you how to buy this kind of boards and put the what do they call it inside the
little soundboard.
Yeah, soundboards. So I made a cone of silence. And it sits on my desk, and I just I have SoundForge or whatever it is, and I just record it in MP3, send them in. Yeah.
On your phone?
No, I have a microphone.
A mic. Okay.
Yeah. No, I got to have that at least.
And what is the program that you use?
It used to be called SoundForge. I think it's called maybe Sound Studio now. It's the Sony program. Very basic, very easy. They say you shouldn't, mess around with all the special effects and stuff anyway. Just send them a nice, clean recording. Don't have too much compression or anything like that. They just want to hear you.
How often do you go out for voiceover auditions?
Well, actually, out of the house to a place, hardly ever anymore. I did go to Carol casting this week, but mostly it's out of the house, and I do that 3-4 times a week. I would say there's a top tier of VO guys. There's a second tier. I'm probably third tier in terms of how busy, how much stuff I get sent to me and stuff. I'm not, out of 10, I'm up there. So I don't do a ton of that stuff, but I do a fair amount.
And is this with AKA?
That's with SBV.
SPB.
Sutton, Barth, and Bernari.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're good. I have a friend that's with them.
Who?
Gosh.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Oh, yeah. No one's worse.
Delete this part.
No one's worse with names than I am.
Oh my God.
No one's worth.
Brad.
I'm sure I know
He's
him.
a one-name guy.
Yeah,
Brad.
yeah.
He dated my friend.
Yeah.
You know what? I shouldn't say it like that. He helped me out too for auditions.
I'm sure I've met
His
him.
name's Brad, but I don't know his last name.
Brad, the voiceover guy.
Yeah. Everyone knows him.
Yeah, sure.
He's
all
done
right.
Burger King commercials.
Oh yeah. Well, that's good. He's dynamite.
Yeah. So let's switch the topic a little bit and jump over to habits.
Habits. It's a really good topic. I was just talking about this to someone yesterday. Habits. Very, very good topic.
Yes, right? Because the habits make the man.
Good habits versus bad habits.
Right.
It's all about that.
You're right. Habits will either make you a master or a slave.
That's right.
Right. So,
yes.
How much time per day do you spend focusing on your craft, and do you still take any classes with anyone or study with anyone in particular?
I'm sighing because I'm a little nuts. I would say I spend all day. I always have projects going. I have done a series of one-man shows. I do literary adaptations, and I did a show based on the works of George Orwell called Orwellian. Mm-hmm. That was an hour show. Then I did a show called Notes from the Underground, which is by Fyodor Dostoevsky, an adaptation of that novel. It's an hour-and-a-half show. And I'm about to open my third show, which is based on the Franz Kafka novel. Well, it's not a novel. It's actually a letter, but they made it into a novel called Letter to My Father. We open in October. And I mention that because if I'm not working, I'm working on something. Now, I spend a lot of time memorizing because these are 10, 15,000 word length pieces.
Wow.
So I focus on that. I focus on my health in terms of exercise. I focus on myself in terms of meditation. In my mind, I'm always preparing for the next job. And this is a demanding profession, physically, mentally, emotionally. So in my mind, I just want to be as ready as possible. Now, that's me. There are other people that go golfing all day. And then they call them, and they're fantastic because that's just who they are. They just I just hang. And when they call me, I just do my thing. That's them. And I salute them, and I envy them in a way because it's a lot easier. For me, I got to be working. Mm-hmm. I have to be working on my process. I'm kind of obsessed with the craft because I think it's so fascinating and such an elusive craft. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to explain to you what I mean by that. As hard as I work, I gave an audition last Monday, which was really bad. I gave a really bad audition. And I prepared all weekend for that audition. And I prepared incorrectly. Mm. And I say that, I bring up that story because that's the crazy beauty of acting. At any given moment, you can suck. You can really stink bad. And you think 40 years into this, you think I know how to always be good. Not so. I had a lesson that had to be, and I learned it. And I'll never forget it because it hurt. I really wanted that job. But I know what I did wrong. And you think you're done learning tough, painful lessons. No. And you have to accept that you're going to just keep making mistakes, but that's the way you're going to learn. I went into an audition 2 days later, and I nailed it because I knew what I'd done wrong.
What did you do wrong? Tell us. What was it?
Everybody's process is different, so I'm hesitant to tell you because my mechanism and what works for me and what doesn't work for me is me. Mm-hmm. It has nothing to do with what any other actor does. That's why I'll never teach acting because what I'm going to teach you is what works for me.
Sure.
That doesn't mean what's going to work for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, I had a acting teacher who said once, you're in a room with 30 outlets. Just find the outlet that works for you and plug in. Mm-hmm. You don't have to, So I'm hesitant to tell you, but I will tell you because.
But there are people that are like you, perhaps.
Possibly.
And those may be your students in the future. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe. But I'll tell you what I did. And this is a debate that constantly goes on with actors. How well should you know your lines when you go into an audition? Should they be memorized? Or should you look at the page? Now, some people will tell you, memorized. Because then you're free to really act. Mm-hmm. Some people will tell you, don't concentrate on the memorizing. Concentrate on the character. So in this particular case, it was a monologue, a long monologue. And I got it on a Thursday. I had Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I said, I'm going to memorize this sucker. I'm going to know this like it's the Pledge of Allegiance. You can wake me in the middle of the night, and I'm going to be able to spout this thing. I went over it, and I'm telling you this because I'm a fool, like any other person. I went over it 300 times.
Oh, my.
Wow.
I was obsessed.
You counted it.
Yes, I hashed because I wanted to make sure. I didn't want to be lazy. This time I'm going to do it. Big mistake. And it's a mistake I've made before, but I'd forgotten. Because what I was doing, I was basically moved into the left brain. I became like nuts and bolts, not the right brain. Emotion, character, relationship. And I walked into that audition so nervous about not forgetting my lines. I literally convinced myself that was all that mattered. The first words out of my mouth, guess what I did? I forgot my lines.
Of course, yeah.
Because I looked across at the other actor and I went, I have no idea why I'm here or why I'm talking to you. I don't know what this scene is about. All I've been thinking about, and it was that horrible moment.
We can all relate to that.
You've all had that moment.
To me.
The first 2 words out of your mouth, you went, "Oh, I'm about to suck really bad," and there's not a damn thing I can do about it. So of course, the opposite happened. I had to literally keep my face in the page the entire time because I completely blocked out everything. Yeah. So I wasn't even. It was a nightmare.
Wow.
A nightmare.
And it was the longest monologue of your life.
Yeah, and so I say that to come around again to tell you that you're never done learning as an actor, and that was a tough lesson. But I'm thankful for it because, like I said, 2 days later, I walked in, I had the script, and I went and I said, let's do a scene. I said, oh, yeah, I got to say something. Here's what I'm going to say. Oh, yeah, and then here's what I'm going to say next. It was all about you and me. And it was great, and I felt connected. So not that the lines aren't important. You should be familiar with your lines. If you can memorize them, great. It's not the number one thing.
Sure.
It's the last thing. They want to see a person. They want to see a relationship. They want to see emotion. They want to see a purpose. The words are there, yes, great. But I had to relearn it.
You found your outlet, your plug.
Yeah.
I always think, that they want you to make them feel something, right? I had a great mentor explain this to me once.
Yeah.
We were talking about what we do as artists,
yes.
right?
Yeah.
And we happened to be in an auditorium where there was a piano and a guitar on the same stage.
Okay.
He goes, look, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to play middle C. And
Okay.
he starts pressing middle C on the guitar or
Right.
on the piano.
Right.
He's like, now go over to that guitar and listen to it. And you could hear the reverberation of middle C resonate on that guitar. He's like, you hear that?
Yeah.
He's like, your instrument is the same way. When you play middle C on yourself or you play that emotion
That's
that
very
you
good.
truly feel, the audience is going to feel that too.
That's right. That's a very good demonstration.
Yeah, I thought it was brilliant. I'll never forget that.
It is. What we're in the business of doing is creating an artificial reality. What we do as actors, our job is to create, it's not real. This didn't happen. These words were made up. These people are not really here, in the case of Jeremy's film, sitting around a table having dinner. This is a fabrication. Our job is to convince the viewer that it's really happening. We create another reality. If we commit to that, as you said, if we resonate with that, the audience will feel it too. You can't fake it. It's got to be real. So if you're concentrating on anything other than creating that reality, they're not going to buy it.
Right.
They're not going to buy it. That's why it's so sad. It's so hard when you watch a film and someone's got to cry and you go, nah, I'm not buying it. No. They're a really good actor, but no. It's like, and it's really sad because they wanted to. They were trying. Yeah. Sometimes an actor they'll sit there and they won't even cry. You'll see them go like this or something, and you go, oh shit, because they were feeling it, and there's nothing connecting us. It's playing on a screen, but you feel it, you see it. So yeah, that's it. But it's elusive. It's very difficult.
It's tough.
So going back to your habits, can you tell us, let's say, what is Monday for you? What time do you wake up? How do you? I'm
very compulsive. I do things the same way over and over again, so it's very easy to tell you. I get up, I work out. I work out every day.
What time do you wake up?
It varies. I tried for a while getting up at 5 a.m, and it was beautiful because, wow, by 7, 8 o'clock, you're kind of done with a lot of stuff, and you still got the whole day ahead of you.
Yeah.
But you got to be able to get to sleep early.
Yeah.
And that's not fun.
It's
terrible.
Yeah.
So I try. Generally speaking, I get up 6:37. Now I become an early riser, and I'll get up and I'll procrastinate for a good 20 minutes, half an hour, and then I'll work out, and then I'll eat something, and then I'll get to work on either my script. Or, and we haven't talked about this. I think maybe you said you were going to want to talk about promotion. I'll do what can I do to promote myself today? And by that, I mean on the social networks, generally speaking.
Okay.
So I always put in some time on that.
Great. Well, I'm glad you mentioned that because that was actually my next question.
Sure.
So in terms of networking,
yes.
Do you you actively network on social media?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm on the networks. I'm on the 3. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. I get zero traction in Twitter, and that's because I don't like to say a lot of clever, quippy things all day. I just don't find that. I think it's kind of a waste of time. It doesn't go deep enough, and everyone likes to be clever, and you could do it, but there's someone who's more clever. So I will post the same things I post on the other two. I get the most traction out of Instagram and Facebook. I've recently learned that you can boost your posts to get to a wider audience, and Facebook will kind of counsel you for free. They'll give you these phone sessions. They'll explain to you how it all works so you can do it more accurately. So I'm interested in that. So I'll find either a picture, a video, or something that's going on, and I will promote that, just to make people, it's all about awareness in this business. I don't have that kind of personality where I want everyone's got to know my name. Right. I don't care. I'd rather be invisible, but I do know it's necessary. So I try to keep my profile up so there's a perception of what I do. When people think of Larry Cedar, they go, oh, I've seen that guy. I've seen his videos. I've seen his picture. I know he works. That's someone we would consider having in to read for or to cast in something. Just try to keep my awareness, the profile up.
And how about on days that you, let's say, don't have anything going on, like a show, or it's kind of in between quiet time? Do you just find a random photo, or? Yeah,
I'll find something. Fortunately, I'm married to a woman who believes in taking time to enjoy life. And she will frequently say to me, look, you really got nothing going on today. Let's see a movie. Let's go to the beach. And, I forget that that's necessary. You can get really crazy in this business thinking about it all the time. And you can literally contract in on yourself and become like nothing. So you got to sometimes I'll just take a day and just do nothing. And,
do you still post on that day?
Sometimes I won't even post, and sometimes you'll look back and you go like, God, why was I so obsessed about posting every day? The world's going to go on without me. You tend to get caught up in this. You have to be careful with the social networks because you tend to think it's a world that must constantly be sustained by you. And that you must keep track of what everyone's doing, and it's just an illusion. It's kind of poisonous in a way. I don't think as a society it's been necessarily that good for us.
Right. There's a toxic element to it.
A very toxic element. But if you use it judiciously, and you don't use it maliciously, if you use it intelligently, it can be a great tool, especially in our business, where it's very hard to get people's attention. The business, generally speaking, wants to make you go away. The forces of this business are, you don't exist, go away. And that's not to say people are mean. It's just that there's too much to absorb. So they try to eliminate until they focus on the people they want. And you have to always keep saying, nah, I'm still here. You should think about me too. And you don't want to be a pest, but you kind of have to,
okay. And so then you do, going back
promotion.
To your promotions, you do an hour or so of promotion?
Yeah, I guess so. I guess an hour or so. And then I'm writing a play with a friend of mine. I'll work on the play for a while. And if I was to say I had a bad habit, and I have many, like all of us, my worst habit is I do get distracted sometimes by the internet, and I'll go poking around reading news or reading interesting things or watching stupid videos. It's such a great way to procrastinate. And I've sworn many a day, this is the last day. I'm not going to waste any more time doing that. And then I do. So
sometimes you need just like that mental break of your, honing in on your own stuff, your own life, where it's just like you need to see somebody else's life be, out there and like, oh, that guy embarrassed himself too.
Yeah. All right. Or at least keep up on what's going on in the world. But I will say that what I'm trying to do is substitute something different for that. And I'm very into meditation, and it's not a Buddhist meditation. It's not a religious meditation. I call it that because it's an easy reference, but it's actually a form of physical relaxation, a form of centering. If I was to recommend anything to any actor in any level of his profession, I would say learn how to relax.
Absolutely.
So there's a technique I've developed I call scanning. And I practice that as many hours a day as I can. And I'm trying to, whenever I have the urge to go look at the internet, scan instead. Because it actually, once you get there, is so much more satisfying than any video or anything you could find on the internet. Because you've centered and you're at peace. But it's hard to get to.
For how many increments of time do you do that?
I either do a half hour or an hour.
Oh, nice. Wow. You sit still for an hour?
Yeah.
Half an hour?
But it's not traditional meditation. I try to explain this to people because when I say meditate, people go like, oh, I can't quiet my mind. I can't do that. I go, oh, God, I want to. I say, I know. Believe me, every time I start, I hate it. Because what is required in the technique I do is letting go.
Right.
Let go of your thoughts. Let go of your tension. Let go of your control. Let go of your ideas. Let go of your negativity. Just let it all go. Now, I've discovered a secret over these many, many, many hours of doing this. There's a mind-body connection. If you can relax your body, your muscles, your mind will follow. So the problem people have with meditation is they go, I'm trying to clear my mind. I want to clear my mind. I want to stop thinking. Say, I'm still thinking. I got to stop. Don't even try. Your mind is too independent. Concentrate on your muscles. And by that, I mean go through your body. And this is a basic fundamental technique which has been used for centuries. Relax your face. Relax your head. Go through your body, work your way down to your feet, and then start over again, incrementally. In other words, instead of going from a 10 to a 1, go from a 10 to a 9.5. But experience that release. I'm going to do it right now. I'm at a 10. I'm going to go, I just went to a 9. Little tiny, tiny incremental release. Keep doing that. You will find that after 15 minutes, your body will go, oh, I give up. Fuck it. Okay, I'm just going to relax. And it will just let go. But your body has to be gently coaxed.
Yes.
Once you're there, you will see that your mind is quiet. The mind follows the body. So whenever I'm in a situation where I can't calm myself down, stop trying to calm yourself down. Just find a muscle that you can relax. Any muscle in your body, your foot, your eye, your head. Stay with it. If you can stay with it for 15 minutes, your body will follow, as will your mind. So it's a very, very simple technique, and I illustrate it this way. Give me your hand. Okay, shake my hand.
Yeah.
Okay, now let go. Okay, shake it. No, still hold on to me, but just let go. Just let go. Did I see the difference?
Yeah.
Do that again. Shake my hand. Now let go. Now we're still holding hands, but we've let go. That's all it is. And
Feel
do that.
relaxed already.
Yeah, me too. And the only challenge is reminding yourself to do it, because the habit that we've created is, if I'm in trouble, there's a problem, I need to think about it, I need to worry about it, I need to engage it. When in fact the opposite is true. If you really want to solve your dilemma, let go. It'll be there. The problem will be there when you come back. I say this to my daughter all the time. Promise yourself you're going to come back to that really serious problem. You're not going to let it go. Don't worry. I'm not going to give up on you. I'm going to take care of you. But I'm going to give myself 10 minutes away from it to prepare myself to deal with it. And by doing that, I'm going to relax. And when I come back to it, I will be much more clear-headed. So I don't want to say I've devoted my life to it, but it is an obsession with me. And I try to put in a certain amount of hours a day because I've seen results. And I wish I could, if I was going to, I will never teach acting because it's too left brain to me. But I would love to teach actors how to relax. Take that into your auditions. Take that onto the set. Take that onto the stage. You're not changing anything except giving yourself the opportunity to be who you are. You're giving yourself the best opportunity you have to show them the best you are. It's not going to make you a better actor. It's not going to get you that job, but it will give you the best opportunity because you will be your most centered, available self. I just think it's something that is so fundamental. And I don't want to get too carried away, but all this philosophy is based on a book I read a long time ago, and this is the last thing I'm going to say.
What's the name of the book?
It's the Lazy Man's Guide to Enlightenment by Thaddeus Golas. And the theory is, in life, you're either contracting or expanding. If you're contracted, you're like a hard ball, which means you can't engage with anybody. If you're expanded, you're free. You can merge. So relaxation is a way of expanding. We do a lot of contracting in this life. We do a lot of thinking. We do a lot of posting. We do a lot of writing. We do a lot of saying. Take some time to do the opposite. Balance your life out and expand. And you'll have a clearer path. That's as deep as I want to get.
Well, are you a part of any film or theater groups out there?
No. In fact, I've been invited to join various companies and have turned it down because I'm not a joiner. I'm very much a kind of a loner. I love actors. I love working with actors, but I don't like being stuck with anything. I like being able to move on. I like coming together with total strangers. It's more exciting to me.
Yeah.
I know the idea. People like the idea of a company, and we're going to do this together, and we're going to make lots of plays together. And no, I like to meet people for the first time and go, who are you? What's going to happen with us? I've never seen you before. Oh, you're a horrible person. Great. This is going to be really interesting. I don't want to. I did a show, 12 Angry Men, where we had a dispute between the cast members because some of the cast members like to get together before the cast and put our arms around each other and say, hey, everybody, good luck, man. This is going to be a great show. And I was the opposite. I would say, no, we should be shoving each other, pushing each other, being annoyed with each other, and bring that onto stage. I like the conflict. Not that I'm mean, but that's where the,
action is.
That's where the action is. This kumbaya stuff as an actor, it's nice to have friends and all get along. You want to be professional, but acting is about conflict.
Yeah.
So that's why.
All right. Well, Larry,
I've said too much.
No,
no, this is
you've
great.
It'd be exactly the right amount.
Oh, great. Jeez.
And you've had an incredible and long career. And normally from our guests, we ask for one piece of advice, but from you, we're going to ask for two.
Oh, my.
And I think you might have already given us one in this last few minutes in terms of teaching people how to relax.
Yes. Be at peace.
Be at peace. Yes. Let go.
Number two is easy.
Yeah.
Love yourself. That's the golden rule of life. Love yourself when you've done terrible things. Love yourself when you've failed. Love yourself at your worst. But love yourself because this is a grand experiment. We were put on this planet to learn, and you're not going to get anywhere by hating yourself. You're just going to shut yourself down from any kind of awareness. Love yourself, everything about yourself, and then you will love other people too, and then you'll be able to create beautiful things. Just love yourself. Everybody, every day, number one.
Phenomenal. Thank you very much,
My pleasure.
Larry.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
This is fun.
That's so much fun.
Do you have a website or anything where people can go and check out your work or
I have
your
a very
links?
rudimentary website because nobody really uses websites anymore. It's LarryCedar.com, LarryCedar. The main place I promote is on my Facebook page. Just look me up on Facebook. I have a professional and a personal page, but they're basically the same.
Great.
And Instagram and Twitter. And just if you do a search on any of those, you'll find me, and that's where I post most of my stuff.
Fantastic.
So,
And of course, with us, you can always find us at Showtime Meets Business at Gmail or right on Instagram under the handle Showtime Meets Business. That's it for this week's episode. I'm Luke.
And I'm Grace.
And this is Showtime
Meets Business.